Hey, how are you, man?
Not bad. How are you?
Doing really well. Really excited tonight. Happy I can join you guys.
Well, so am I, because I've had a couple opportunities to do this and I haven't been able to yet. So it's nice to be able to get on here, speak, have some people hear from me and everyone really. And yeah, I think I caught the end of you mentioning about these 0 point conversations, and yeah, I suppose it is good to see these things happening. Really, I suppose it's good to just have some neutral conversation on DERO and around DERO concepts, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it because, this puts a focus on people who are really community oriented. So then we know we can depend on our other people in the community. And so it really works out.
Well, yeah, for sure. I think just building, just doing this kind of thing, because as soon as you hear someone's voice, everything changes, and I think there is this breakdown in just sort of text communication. So, and we're all we're all on the same page ultimately here, and we all really love what DERO brings to the table. So, I think just bringing this community together,
Yeah.
um, centered around non-census, I think it's something that's really bold.
It still doesn't want to lie.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's found a spreadsheet.
yeah, then. Right, I'm getting loads of feedback off Cake Master.
Yeah. Cake Master, I think that might be his son. The Objective Alpha. For people who might not be familiar with you, could we learn a little bit about you? How long have you been in the DERO community, and kind of what are you up to in DERO? If you don't mind telling us a little bit.
Yeah, okay. So I found DERO in early 2021. Is it 20? Yes, 2021. So I've been sort of in and around the DERO community now for about 2.5 years, and I was just kind of like anyone else, really. Just found this thing called cryptocurrency, and um, I suppose I came into it, sort of armed with other knowledge from studies elsewhere in my life. But yeah, I went through everything. I went through the XRP phase. I don't know if everyone goes through that, but it gets you into the space, right? You know, whatever anyone thinks about XRP is they at least get you learning about money, and they get you into the space. So I got into that, and then eventually I suppose I found my way to DERO. Um, Fixed around a certain point, which is privacy and fungibility. Um, because it just seemed like such an obvious concept to me that what a $1 bill is equal to any other $1 bill, and that's fungibility, and you it just seemed so obvious that you couldn't get that with open, transparent um amounts and no anonymity on senders and receivers. When I came into this crypto world. Um, so yeah, I very quickly kind of got up to pace, and I got straight to DERO. Basically, it probably wasn't within a year or so of me coming into crypto and kind of finding and getting up to speed with where DERO's at, and that was aided by me looking at pretty much everything else in the crypto space. So this is something you might hear me go on about, is the only way you can really know a thing is by filling out the context around it. And that's what helped me, because I did really look at everything else. And then everything else you look at, there's ultimately something missing. And DERO seemed to be the thing that drew me most and ticked all those boxes. But yeah, so I just came in like anyone else to cryptocurrency, I suppose. I'm one of the newer breed.
Yeah, well, I think there are a huge amount of parallels between your story and mine. There's quite a learning curve, once you just first get into the crypto space. So yeah, of course, I made the same mistakes that everyone else made. I really had no idea what was going on, but that's how you learn. You jump in and you start to figure things out. And so after being in the space for a while and learning and starting to understand and getting more and more exposure to more and more interesting projects, then I found DERO, and I was essentially immediately in love. I thought, okay, this is me. I found my thing, and once I found it, I've never looked back.
Yeah, no, I I honestly feel the exact same way. So I guess I'll try and continue this on. So when I did kind of come into DERO, when I was here it was around 2.5 years ago, very early 2021, there was it was sort of I suppose earlier in the development of the new Stargate platform, and I didn't. So what I've done in the community is I've done some writing, some articles on just effectively just defining terms, and when we say encryption, what do we mean? And then kind of contextualizing that with the backdrop of cryptocurrency and and like zero knowledge proofs. Like what is that actually? So this is kind of what I'm known for is I've when I come into a thing, if I look at it, it was an interesting thing with DERO is that there was just this kind of gap I saw in what it was in actuality and what people perceived it to be. And as soon as I see something like that, it just sets me off, and I have to close that gap because it's just like a belief and knowledge kind of thing. You need to kind of just, I don't know, I need to make sure what people are learning is correct. And because this new platform that when I found DERO and when I looked at it and what it was special. And I can't see something like that being conflated with something else because it doesn't know service. It doesn't know respect. So I felt the need to write about these things and actually differentiate this new DERO platform that we call Stargate or DERO homomorphic encryption blockchain protocol. I wanted to write about it and actually differentiate these terms. Because words do have meaning. So yeah, that's basically how I came about doing what I do. Is there was obviously just an imbalance there between what was and what people thought, and now 2.5 years later, I am very happy with where we are because it is known that DERO is unique. It is one of a kind. It is built from scratch. I'm happy now. I feel like what I did was right.
Well, I just have to say, if people aren't familiar with your writing, it's just amazing. You demonstrated a really high level of knowledge and understanding, and the way you wrote about it, it just makes it so extremely accessible. And if any of you listening tonight aren't familiar with what the Objective Alpha has written concerning DERO, then I highly recommend you take a look at it as soon as you can. It's just fantastic. And I just praise you. Oh, can only praise you for that, man.
Yeah. Where's the best place for people to find your articles or what you've written?
So my Medium page that I've got set up is called Documenting DERO. So if the easiest way to find it is just into Google or any search engine, you just type Medium followed by Documenting DERO, and that will get you to the Medium page where I've done a few articles there.
And I see B. Waldo has joined us to speak. If you guys listened to the first module last week, then everyone knows who B. Waldo. Well, everyone knows who B. Waldo is anyway. How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, how's it going? I'm hoping you guys can hear me okay. I didn't do a thorough check of my audio before keying up, so I'm good. I'm really glad to be here and listening to you guys. I had a question, though. It reminded me of something that I had happened to me a while back. Had a dream, maybe a nightmare. Yeah, you guys decide. The XRP was the national currency, the digital currency for America. And I just seen that they won the SEC lawsuit rebuttal or something of that nature, which is a big win as far as regulation goes for digital currency. What do you guys think about that? Did you guys hear anything about that over there where you're located?
Yes, I did. I did indeed see that, and I saw the XRP chart got a nice bounce off of it. It is interesting. An appeal of a judge's decision, which is effectively, this is one of the most security-like cryptocurrencies out there. And for it to be given the all clear and not be a security, I think just bodes well for the rest of the crypto industry. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this XRP, kind of in my opinion and what I've observed, it seems like it's been earmarked really from the very beginning to be the main central bank digital currency. And I think that's kind of the path it's going on. What would you guys think about? I mean, that's essentially what you're saying, B. Waldo, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I think it's definitely going to do that. And it's definitely an important player in the space, even though everything about it is kind of the opposite of what I think is good.
Yeah, I think back in the day, I thought of one thing, and it was, all right, so, theoretically, they're going to put all this money into the XRP system, blah, blah, blah. They would not use the public ledger that everyone else is using. They would, the technology that is the, air quotes, it's the technology that is the selling point for why everyone would want to put all their money in the world onto this one blockchain. They wouldn't, if they were going to do that, it wouldn't be on the buddy public blockchain that all of these investors have money invested in. It would be on their own private spin up of it. That's pretty much my only comment on that kind of sort of subject and area. If for some reason it does come to fruition, when they move the trillions and quadrillions of dollars onto the XRP blockchain, it's going to be their own XRP blockchain. It's not going to be the one that, Susie and Bob have invested in, this public-facing one.
Yeah, and it's just kind of a crazy thing, because people just are so unaware, that the things that they might get into and think that are good and important are just going to continue this bad system that they've been a part of. Whereas, right now we actually do have an opportunity to put up a huge fight against that and change things for the better for, I would say, all of humanity. But at the same time, there is a fight to make people not be aware of that. And yeah, things like XRP, a lot of these I'm not even sure XRP could technically fit the definition of a cryptocurrency. I don't know. Do you guys know anything about that?
Well, it's funny you say that. I've seen Joy Raptor quite recently. He kind of brought to prominence the idea that, crypto, coming from, following the etymology of it, comes from the Greek word for kryptos, I believe, which is hidden. All right. So, and cryptography, this thing, the word that cryptocurrency derives the word crypto from, and therefore we say crypto, originally is cryptography, is the art of hiding things. And encryption is a form of cryptography. So, yeah, you could really say, literally to the definition, no, it is not crypto by what crypto means, which is cryptography, which is hiding stuff. The opposite side of the coin to cryptography is cryptanalysis, which is breaking the other side of the coin, revealing the cryptography. Yeah, that's what I understand this, sort of whole battle of the digital to be, and privacy and keeping things, keeping the integrity strong. It's this push and pull between cryptography and cryptanalysis, and it's an ever-changing thing. So, yeah, I don't think you could really define literally these modern cryptos, not just XRP, but we could say every one that does not have either confidentiality of amounts or anonymity of senders and receivers. You could say they're not crypto.
Yeah. Well, here's something that kind of a question I would like to pose to any of you guys who would like to answer it. And anyone who has ever talked to me, I really bring this up often. And it's not my own idea. I may have actually quite a while ago stolen this from one of you. But as we're kind of looking at Web3 coming down the pipeline, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty big deal. What do you think is going to happen when people start to realize, hey, when we're doing this, when we're building these things on Web3 or whatever, I'm not going to define Web3. I can leave that for you guys maybe to define. But what's going to happen when people start to realize that so much information is being exposed? And to me, someone said this so perfectly, it reminds me of the early internet when there was just a point with HTTP. And then almost overnight, everyone realized, oh, wow, we're exposing so much information, even passwords, blah, 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 everything. And almost overnight, everything switched to HTTPS. And so for me, this is kind of an optimism I have with my support for DERO, is I think that there is going to be this inevitable moment where once Web3 moves on further down the line, that there is going to be this point where everyone says, holy smokes, this is not good, and we have to fix this. And then I think it's going to be, I would say, our moment. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think
Either I was just going to say, I've said that many times that, with a lot of people comparing blockchaining and cryptocurrencies to the new internet and the new, protocol of the internet, it's not really possible without HTTPS, right? So there has to be something that protects all this information. Just to elaborate more on what you were saying, once people realize how much data is out there, they're probably not going to want all their data out there. It's just a matter of realization of how open your life is, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and sort of your example of the old HTTP, when the internet first came around, everyone was using it and they didn't realize that everything on the backside was open and readable and collectible by anyone. What the internet was then kind of brought us this digital realm. Now, cryptocurrency seems to be one of the first kind of major layers on top of that, where we're kind of stepped into the digital realm, and it is normality now. And cryptocurrency now seems to be that internet of then. People are using these transparent cryptocurrencies, especially on these smart contract platforms where you're doing lots of transactions. And you're doing more than just sending from A to B. You're interacting with smart contracts. You're doing things. You're doing actions that might be a thing in the eyes of the law, and it's all just open, like all of it, right to your wallet balance. Like it's traceable right back to the actual number of the thing that you were using in your wallet. This is that internet. This is the internet of the internet. Like people don't realize using this cryptocurrency, they are just shoveling out data, which is why all of these blockchains and these centralized exchanges and entities, and they're all just throwing hundreds of millions of dollars around when their business model is they're an exchange. So they make money off of fees. Like they get this money from other avenues, other inflows, and it's data, a lot of it. Yeah, that's what I want to say on that.
But I believe TechLeaks has brought this up before. It's not even just, maybe what they're doing might be nefarious, but also just exposing what you're doing and people figuring out who you are and what your wallet balance is can create, it can make you a target to people who want to do bad things.
Yes, and I do believe there have already been several cases where people have been killed because of this. And I mean, a huge amount of examples where this really does happen because of the exposure.
Well, I mean, the goal of Web3 really is to decentralize your identity and let people access everything that they need on the internet without relying on a centralized server. But at the end of the day, if your personal information isn't encrypted, then your participation isn't voluntary, it's enforced. So, your personal number and your personal identity has to be encrypted if you truly want to decentralize participation in a Web3 scenario.
Right, and that's because your actions can be observed, even the ones you don't want to be observed. Therefore, the law can effectively chase after you, proactively. I think that's what Asylum's kind of trying to get at, is it just changes the structure of everything. Yeah, that's all I want to add to that.
Yeah, and just our legacy system really is at a point of such extreme enforcement, where we are forced to do things that we absolutely do not want to do, and so many people just take that as like that's the way it has to be, and no, I mean, for sure, we absolutely have to move away from that. And I guess, yeah, it's important to try to educate people more and more about that. Yeah, it's challenging, but yeah, for me, DERO DERO solves so many of these problems.
Yeah, for sure. So let's if you kind of wanted to say off that, I'm going to try and take this kind of a turn to why is DERO so special then as a platform? let's all presume, we have the backdrop of cryptocurrency, and we've spoken about the concept of privacy. I've seen it bandied about a couple of places. Let's just strip out the concept of private accounts, private wallets. Let's presume it's similar wallets. Dero on itself, without that, is an unbelievable platform, an unbelievable blockchain with truly cutting edge technology that's just nothing to do with the homomorphic encryption of the accounts. So it's a proof of work blockchain. Mining algorithm is Astro BWT version 3. So since launching Stargate, it's gone through a couple versions, and we seem to have gotten onto a really nice, stable version that everyone's happy with. So with 18-second blocks. So, and this Astro BWT algorithm is optimized for CPUs. It can be used for GPUs, and there is a lovely community member right now working away on a GPU miner. The idea of the algorithm is that even though it can be used by GPUs, and it can be, and this will be a reality, the actual optimization and the benefit over a CPU shouldn't be higher, let's say. So it's a proof of work blockchain, 18-second block times. It's got this thing which is called erasure coding in the block, where if the block gets, big enough, it can break the block up into chunks and distribute chunks, which is effectively distributing smaller size blocks around the peer-to-peer network. So aiding in scalability of the blocks themselves. The peer-to-peer network where the blocks are sent between the nodes is encrypted. So the nodes create an encrypted tunnel between themselves. So the actual network traffic is hidden. This is the only cryptocurrency in all of crypto that has this, an encrypted peer-to-peer network. With whilst being proof of work and 18-second blocks. And being CPU optimized. And it has the DERO virtual machine on top of this, which is an interpreter style virtual machine. So it's completely different, again, to the rest of crypto. I've only been able to kind of poke so deep into the style of virtual machine that it is, but it's basically how it reads the smart contract code. It's completely different to anything in crypto. DERO is not just a privacy protocol, which is at the same time everything, but if you stripped it all away and you just wanted to go to marketing and just, it wasn't private wallets and accounts with this homomorphic encryption, which everyone says is so computationally intensive that it's not possible. But it's possible with everything I've just listed. DERO is phenomenal. I love DERO. This is why when I started studying this, when I read all of this and I defined everything for myself, when I looked at what erasure coding was, it's a concept that comes from storage networks. When you want to store a large file, you break it, you shard it into pieces. Sharding is probably a word people are more familiar with. You shard it into pieces, and then you can rebuild it with less pieces than the whole. It's pulled on so many other areas and aspects, and the homomorphic encryption of the accounts is just one of it. You strip that away, and this thing is phenomenal. This is why I felt the need to write about it, because it is truly unique, and that's why I wanted to write my "What is DERO" post, or write-up or article, because it was really important. There was no actual single place where everything the current version of DERO was actually in one place. And now it is, because this is special. This needed to be spoken about. And this can't be forgotten, how special this thing is. Yeah, that's me done.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I missed the first part of the talk, but I had a question about what Objective Alpha said. Hi, Objective Alpha. What's up? Glad to finally hear you.
Lovely to speak to you. Lovely to see you. TL.
Yeah. Well, Matt, can you elaborate? Can you dig a bit deeper on the difference between, like, I remember this came up somewhere else too, but the fact that the DERO VM is the only interpreter, so it's not a compiler but an interpreter VM. Like, what if you can elaborate more on this, because I'm a complete ignoramus on the technicals, but it would be nice to if you can break it down a bit, for us dummies and stuff, like for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I can go as deep as I can go. So basically, the virtual machines, right. So you have high level programming languages, which simply means that it is readable by a human, right? So this is what DVM Basic, the programming language that the DVM uses. Solidity will be a high level language. They're human readable, so that you can code them whilst being a human, which is what we are. But you're coding it for a machine, right? And a machine doesn't speak, or human language. It speaks machine code. So this is where the difference comes in with regards to the smart contract and the virtual machine on DERO is all other virtual machines, when you need to translate this code, which is the lines of the smart contract, you need to translate it into machine code, which is, I believe, just zeros and ones. That's what the virtual machine reads. How you do this, this is the fork in the road. This is the difference between the DERO virtual machine and the others. There are two avenues to do this. The first is to compile it, which is called the compiler. It is a program that pretty much scans all of the code. So in this instance, we're talking about a smart contract. So it will scan all of the lines of the smart contract, and it will compile them all into bytecode at once. Right? So everything in that smart contract, good or bad, just kind of gets translated into bytecode at once. And then gets fed into the machine to read it, do the computation. The difference with the other way is called an interpreter. And now it's very subtle, but the difference with this is it reads it line by line. Line by line, it interprets it. So when there is a fault, the contract will not execute because it's read it line by line. You can, so the basic general concept behind this is that to compile something, you need to kind of create like an algorithm to compile it. It's called a compiler. You can kind of code malicious stuff into this compiler, or when you compile code, it can kind of compile bad stuff into it, and you just chuck it into the machine to run anyways. This is the very basic high-level difference between an interpreter and a compiler-based virtual machine. It's just how it reads the code. And so we've obviously gone for an interpreter style because it's more simple and secure, right? Like simple is secure, simple is fast. Obviously, as you can imagine, like reading code line by line was slower. But as kind of computation CPUs have increased over time, the gap between a compiler and an interpreter-based machine, it has closed. So like DVM's not that slow, but it's built in this kind of different way. So effectively, it's summed up in, it's just simpler and which is secure. Simple is secure. Interpreter is just the classic, simple, secure way to do a thing. Yeah, that's pretty much the difference between how DERO does it and how everyone else does it. It's simply really to just, in these compilers, when you build the compiler, you don't, like, bad things can happen in the compiler, basically. That we're just there to avoid that, and that's what Captain wants to avoid. And just keep it simple, right? KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Because simple is secure. Simple is what we want. We just want simple and works, right, TL? I hope that was all right.
Right. Well, yeah, thank you very much. Actually, yeah, it helps a lot. I'm going to go through this explanation a couple of times, so I think others as well. But yeah, it gave me a good idea of it. Thank you.
And now I'm just curious of which predated the other. Was interpreters around and then compilers came about, or vice versa?
So this isn't actually knowledge to me. I haven't dug that deep into it, but logic would dictate that an interpreter came first. Like basic language came first. Just, the simple old stuff that just worked.
Yeah, like BASIC and Cobalt and things like that.
Yeah, when you build smart contracts on a compiler medium, you can build them to exploit issues in the compiler itself in such a way that the users would be able to read the code that's being compiled and not know that there's an exploit in the end execution because it was between the code and the compiler. And when you're using an interpreter system, this whole problem can be avoided because the code is being interpreted directly, the same code that's visible to the user.
Yeah, so you could just think of the compiler as another middleman, and you're just kind of taking them out.
I see, very interesting. I see. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. It is just, in your own time, I know you love to dig into stuff, you can just kind of look into compiler vulnerabilities and just issues around compilers and, just using that term and interpreter, you can just kind of, definitely get a feel for it. But in the vein of DERO, it's just simple and secure.
Right, because I remember Cryptoid in one of our previous talks was explaining how basically smart contracts at the end of the day, they need to do simple stuff. So it doesn't have to be much complicated, and because complexity adds also other risks. So I think it's in this vein of things, like it's in line with the all general philosophy of DERO, where security comes first and then trying to keep it as simple and as effective and as secure as possible. And yeah, I think security is very important, right? In crypto, like today I saw about another exploit, and I think in any exploits yet, which also reflects the overall security standard of DERO, despite having smart contracts and being a completely private blockchain. There are still ways to verify everything, and I guess also the DVM reflects these the principles on which DERO was built, which are beautiful and powerful, and yeah, I'm still digging deep. Like I never stop learning new things. The more I listen to people and I read, and yeah, I'm glad I hope, we can all go deeper into this and see the implications of it in practice in the future.
Yeah, well, and when you think of the concept of simple insecurity, it's obvious. I don't think anyone would ever argue with it. But in crypto, we kind of get drawn to our heads in the clouds, and you kind of drawn into idealism. Just because it can be done doesn't necessarily mean it what's needed in reality. So yeah, DERO is just this breath of fresh air. Because if you were actually building something to scale to 1 billion users, wouldn't you build it simple and secure with known technologies that are just work and have worked for decades? That's how you'd actually build it if you were serious about scaling to billions of users.
Absolutely. I agree. But you cannot also not scale to billions of users, because you see a lot of centralized blockchains that make this their aim or their headline slogan about thousands or unlimited TPS, but it's fine. I mean, how will these people, billions of users, means trillions of dollars on your chain? How can the economy of value, because how can that much value be, why would this value flow into a blockchain that is centralized, which means that someone can push a button and steal it or manipulate it, etc. So how can a blockchain that is not safe, secure, and is not decentralized, so it's not easy to meddle with, to manipulate? That's why those certain parameters like to onboard billions of users, first of all, to onboard billions of users is extremely important that the economy is right, your trust economy, because if it requires a lot of trust, then you might be able to onboard certain users from certain parts of the world in jurisdictions that are friendly to your laws or to your rules, but you won't be able to onboard users from other parts of the world who simply are not aligned to these rules or laws that can change, that can be manipulated by a party, by an entity, by a government, by a state actor, and so on and so forth, by a hostile party, can be attacked. And so that's why that's just vaporware when people talk about these billions of users, because to onboard billions of users, if you are going to have the Internet of Things, if you are going to pay your car per kilometer that you drive, if you are going to pay the electricity that your fridge consumes per kilowatt that it consumes, but then this money will have to be on chain. So how can this, considering all the Internet of Things, the size, a chain that is not secure, first of all, and is not truly decentralized, you cannot, even if you have the technical capacity, it doesn't mean that people will come and use it, exactly because you don't have the trust economy in the right place. It still requires a huge load of trust, which makes it unusable for billions of people.
And actually, if I could just add to that, to me, it sounds kind of like akin to if you were to say, this is the new internet right here, but it's all ran on one server that one person controls. That's not very useful at that point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of businesses are struggling to grow for this very reason. Maybe they have the capacity to process more transactions like Visa does, MasterCard does, but still they can't find more customers. Why? Because
this space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
The trust economy isn't right, because people don't trust these brands anymore, like PayPal, for example, and so on. So it's not just a matter of like you completely centralize your tech and you make it runnable on AWS exclusively or on some giga servers, and then you say that can scale to infinity, but that's not really scaling if you don't remain decentralized and trustless and permissionless with the scale, because the moment you create these unique points of failure, then you start repelling certain users, because these points will come out in a way or another, and certain people, certain users, certain profiles of users will won't trust it simply. It will be too risky for them to use this infrastructure.
Yeah, there we go. The scalability, the term, scalability seems to have centralized around transactions per second without, stripping away the how. You're like, how is these transactions per second achieved? Or, yeah, but that's basically it. Is it on an unstable blockchain? So, and then all of this kind of superficial stuff, which is effectively what it is. Transactions per second is as superficial as you can get, which reflects society a little bit. It's served to subvert, right? That's the only aim, really, is to subvert the mindset of the people in the thing. And now transactions per second is the mark of scalability, it seems, rather than trust, which is a bit more than skin deep, right? That's not so superficial. You need to know a bit more to be able to garner trust.
I mean, it works if you are, if it's, I mean, TPS works great if you are trying to pitch your project to a VC. I mean, if you are looking for funding, for some vaporware hunters who fabricate these narratives and stuff, but it doesn't really matter much if if at the end of the day you are trying to solve a real problem for real people and you are trying to attract users, like if you are trying to deliver utility, because for utility it's key that you be trustless. I mean, at least for crypto, this is what crypto is all about, right? I mean, in Bitcoin we have this trustlessness of the supply, which we still got to figure out if it's still trustless or if it can still be changed, as some say. I mean, if they can change their mind to expose at least the nuance to this talk in the Bitcoin supply. But let's say that's how Bitcoin came to this point, because so far it seems like set in stone. And what about when it comes later to privacy? I mean, can your chain like guarantee privacy for everyone, or is it selective privacy? Like some chains that are, for example, promoted by what I call backdoor capitalists, right? So I have a backdoor and I don't tell most people about it. I promote it as private, and then I sell access to the backdoor to certain people, to the least people on earth who should have access to these backdoors. And then I put other people's lives in danger. And then the same for scalability. I mean, can your platform scale and remain decentralized? Like let's say, most won't even get to the privacy point, but can you scale, have privacy, have auditability of supply, etc., and then also remain decentralized, remain nimble, remain resistant to attacks from state actors and so on and so forth. And most projects, unfortunately, in crypto, because crypto is really young. I mean, when I look back, it has been really a blink of, I mean, in just 10 years, right? Since Bitcoin really blew up and became quasi mainstream, let's say. And a lot of these projects are plain money grabs that lack that haven't put enough thought in some of the fundamental fundamental features, values, properties that a good cryptocurrency must have, which is decentralized, like scaling per se means nothing without decentralization, and then privacy, and then auditability.
Well, when we talk about scalability, it's important to remember how each individual part and player in an ecosystem is able to scale too. So like, for example, for a node runner that doesn't need the past history, but needs the current state of the chain, you need to be able to spin up a node quickly and proven from Genesis while discarding whatever information that you don't need. And that is also available on DERO's implementation. Each block is proven consecutively in the series since Genesis, even separately from the transaction data itself, which is also not seen anywhere else in crypto. So if you want to scale a system that claims to manifest trustlessness you need to be able to scale each individual part of that system without being forced to trust a single entity that may have interests that are in line with yours.
There you go. So this is, DERO is built with reality in mind. That's what I want to get across, right? There's ideological, and there's just being realistic. A lot of logic is lovely in a vacuum, and that's where we are. It's we're creating things in a vacuum, right? We're applying logic in a vacuum. We're applying logic without observing all the grammar and the rhetoric, and just actually looking at what is reality right now. That's why DERO's special, because it's built with the real world in mind and how real people operate. Maybe you just need to use the blockchain. You don't need all the transactions with it. So, build it to be able to just prune them off, and you can just get right up to speed with the last block of the blockchain. That's what Asylum's talking about there. That's the pruning of the transaction tree.
And that feeds right into user-facing scalability too. Since you know that the protocol scales in that way for nodes, the users are also all able to leverage the current state of their accounts all at the same time from any given node that they want, and not have to worry about the source, because the contents of an account wouldn't be valid unless the source was valid as well. So you can scale your user base, you can scale your node propagation, you can scale your block propagation via things like the error share coding you mentioned earlier there. All of these things come into play when you're talking about scalability. So while the rest of the industry is out there talking about transactions per second, DERO is building all the things that they're ignoring. And it's hard to inject that kind of information into the groupthink that's out there talking constantly about all this stuff and has no clue about how the tech actually works. So these are some of the challenges that we're all facing when interfacing with an industry that doesn't have a clue about what it's talking about. So I think we're making good headway though.
Right. I think the landscape is changing slowly in our favor. Like these past couple of days, I came across a few tweets that seemed like they had been written by DERO maximalists. Like I came across this tweet from this Italian journalist where she basically says, "I know some people who are scared to go and protest." I mean, I use translator. They are scared to go and protest. They are scared to share their opinions on political matters, and they live as if they behave as if they live under dictatorship and in Italy. So she says, which is very strange. I always thought that they were exaggerating and that they were paranoid. But then today she says, I see that they were right, because it turns out that in Italy they keep dossiers on all the people that participate in protests, like in public protests. And as I think I discussed also with Kalina in the past, and a recurrent theme in DERO is that there are these databases that once you catch someone, once you identify someone in a protest, right, there are these data pools or lakes, and so that you can insert few data points on this person, maybe a phone number, maybe if they have used facial recognition, and then you can find everything else, and then you can start creating problems to them in their professional career or in whatever they do, and so and then she says, in fact, she attaches this cable from WikiLeaks, where some from some U.S. diplomat who speaks of how they purposefully delayed trains or mess up the schedule of public transport in the past, how how they were doing this basically on a regular, messing up the schedule of public transport to mess up, to mix up different, to create problems, in coordination problems to different groups of protesters that were coordinating or planning to participate in a protest somewhere. And this all seemed seamless, right, from the outside. You think, I just missed my train came late, etc. I mean, this is what surveillance does, lack of privacy does. And I think a lot of these problems are coming to the surface, like the mechanisms behind these things, how this data can be used. And the problem of gathering data, of making this, of normalizing this, and how it can squash like any dissenting voices, and leads straight into groupthink, which is exactly what we see still today, right? Not just in crypto, actually, we see it everywhere. I mean, groupthink everywhere, because people are like bombarded with these different levers of conditioning, and at some point, I mean, statistically speaking, we see what we are seeing today. But I think things are starting to change as awareness of this is growing and is coming to the surface. A lot of these things happening in obscurity, like behind the stage.
Yeah, I've obviously kept up with, your ideas on surveillance, and it is a really important concept to understand that surveillance inflicts on the behaviors of a group of people. This is like this concept that this concept you unpacked is very important. It's very fundamental. If someone knows they're being watched, they alter their behavior because they most likely have not studied themselves being watched. Most of the people don't know this stuff. So this is huge. Surveillance is everything, and the digital realm offers them surveillance. Which is, in my opinion, what you see this really heavy push towards the digital realm, because it will ultimately give them what they want. This internet thing that mankind has created is ultimately a tool, and it can be good or evil, like any tool. They're certainly pushing for one side. We are the other side, right? We are the cryptography, they are the cryptanalysis. And it is just a push and pull. And it just creates cycles, and these are these things that we see all the time. So yeah, it certainly makes sense that they would love to promote public, transparent blockchains, and they would look to subvert or give no attention to private blockchains like DERO.
But also, when you think of it, like I personally think of public blockchains as surveillance tools. I mean, they are basically surveillance weapons. And we had Bitcoin that is perfect for financial surveillance. Let's say you can follow each transaction, and it's perfect to see how people spend their money. But then we need more information, right? So let's put everything on chain. And I see this. I mean, maybe it's a bit scary, but it's all part of the same big plan. Like once we locked in financial surveillance, now let's add more to it. So let's create the Web3. But the Web3 without privacy, it's a nightmare, because the Web3, where your ID is on chain, where your microtransactions are on chain. So basically your UTXO will tell everyone what you read, where you go, where you pay for your parking, where you travel, what you eat, maybe your location, and that's basically a nightmare. From that kind of information, from that kind of indexing and mass surveillance, like the worst tyrannical regimes come out, right? I mean, where it's basically you can seamlessly attack anyone, without agency, because you can make it look like bad luck. You can make it look like an accident. So is it the worst of the worst? Because you will have this group thing, and most people like today still, but that's why it's sort of reassuring to see some journalists, putting a lot of work into this, in doing activism on this issue more and more, thanks to also like stories like WikiLeaks or Snowden's NSA program that he exposed. I think awareness of this is increasing, but if you double down on surveillance with things like transparent chain and Web3, then this creates a total like 1984 world, a complete nightmare from which is like, I think Elon Musk tweeted recently, like once you enter into this world, it's going to be much, much more difficult to come back to even to where we are today, which is far from perfect, and let alone to where we should be, right?
Yeah, and I think you spotting these journalists coming along to this way of thinking, actually really, it was only ever going to be this way. They'll only ever understand the thing until it's right in front of their face. This is what we're observing. So we're coming to like a tipping point, right? Like the work we've done over the last couple years with DERO. I've seen a change. I've observed a change, not just in the relationship from other crypto communities towards DERO, but just in the world towards privacy. We're getting there, you guys. Everything we're doing and all that we're giving up and all of the time and everything like that, we're doing it. Like we're seeing true results, and I do feel that we're coming to a tipping point. This can't go on forever. These concepts we speak of and the things privacy offers is too fundamental to be able to be ignored for too long of a time. Good evening, Slicks. Good evening, Secret. I mean, good morning. Yeah, good evening, Slicks.
Sorry for being late. I had some personal things to do. Now I'm here to hear everyone speaking and try to share my thought. So
It's good to see you. Thanks for popping through.
So I didn't follow the subject, but I will try to participate. Just continue like if I was here since the beginning.
Oh, you standard. Don't worry about that. Yeah, we're just getting into those concept around privacy, the actual real world implications of surveillance and privacy and what these things actually mean to real people in the real world.
Yeah, but for me, I'm mostly in cryptocurrency because I'm worried to pay fees for something that is obvious for the modern society, and because I don't want that the person who work in such bank can access to all my privacy by checking all my history and all my balance, what I own. No, and World Economic Forum say like, oh, you will own nothing and you will be happy. But for me, it will be different. It will be like, no, I will own everything I want, but nobody will know it. And that's why I'm interested in DERO and in privacy. Without privacy, you can't fight correctly about things in the society. And as TechLeaks was saying, like, I think if I understand correctly, because I come in the middle of his sentence, for journalists,
it's really useful, and most of the time, like in, like for me, like for bad country, or where you have authoritarian like dictator or such things, is the best way is to have privacy, to do your work correctly, and to be neutral and not on any side of politics. And but even now it's a bit too late, because even in France, like most of the journalists are paid by a billionaire who just manage the press for himself. That's all. Like the thought of people in France, for example, just for his own earnings and advantage, and create some debate like with immigration or such things, like just to divide the people. So instead of being together and fight the evil the evil monster, they just fight between each other. So the people is divided and we can't do anything against the real problem. uh, that's all. That's also, for me, that's one of the several use cases. That's why you have to have some privacy.
Yeah, and I would say that, I can't really think of any country that's not extremely authoritarian. Even the biggest countries who pretend the most that they're not authoritarian. I mean, we have this great example just a little while ago in Canada with the protests that they had there, and then all of the protesters' bank accounts getting frozen and stuff like this. So, I mean, we're not safe anywhere, and this is why it's so important. What we're into right now, I would say.
One small parenthesis. I mean, I agree with everything, but since we have Slixey here, and I am a huge fan of his work, or at least like his roadmap, and I know that he's working on a new DERO DEX that will be much more, let's say, user-friendly, accessible to the masses and stuff. And Slixey is like one of the prodigy developers in the DERO community. Like, he's been following the project, as far as I know, from the very beginning. He's been fighting tooth and nail for DERO since 2018. I've seen some of his legendary tweets and stuff. So no, nothing. I wanted to know if Slixey, you have, I don't know, any comment to make on what you are working on that you'd like to share, maybe to those of us, some of us like are curious to know, since we love the current DERO DEX, but it's a bit, as we have like spoken about this in the community Discord, it's a bit not so accessible, not so user-friendly for normies. Like, it took me a long time to try it. So so a new DEX like the one you are building, whose preview we have shared on Twitter from a video you posted, was amazing. So if you have any, like, how is development going, and how, if there is an ETA, or if no, like anything that you'd like to share about it.
Yeah, sure. So first, thank you, because it's thanks to you, because it's you who make me start to work on this project, because of your message in private, like, oh, it was difficult to access to DERO DEX, like you never did it before, because you didn't want to install any extension. And this, I understand it completely, because even myself, I didn't want, even if G45 is a really good person and it's no my friend, I don't want to trust someone by installing something on my computer, not in computer, but on a browser, and which is connected directly with my wallet, where I have all my life, all my savings, and all my privacy. So it was a bit bothering me. And with your message, I was like, okay, so it looks like I'm not alone at all. Maybe we should work. Maybe I should work on something to really solve this problem. And that's how. With my friend, because me, I'm much more back-end side, and all the algorithm and security. I'm more based on this, but I do some front-end. But I don't really like this. So because I have a friend for which I work in real life, I made a deal like, okay, I work for you in real life, and in case you work for me on one of my projects. And his name is X2FR. And this guy so did the whole front end again of DeroDex. And so it's working in local. I could maybe push first version online in the coming week. But on the protocol used by XSWD, I have it's working too. But the problem is there is it's because it's not like Golang is not safety memory like Rust. I have some problem with the CLI wallet of Dero, where on some terminal it can block because it doesn't the library I use Redline and that Dero use is not thread safe. So I'm checking how I could do this to be able to have to prompt the request of the user and the connection authorization of an application in the wallet directly, without having some bugs where we have I don't know if it's a deadlock, but like the wallet completely freeze because of it on a wallet like Ngram, because it will be not through the terminal, it will work without any problem. But on CLI wallet, I have this problem because of terminal and the library we use. So that's why in my pull request, I try to update it myself by doing some adjustment. But yeah, so that's why I'm taking much more time than expected, because for a proof of concept, I want that working perfectly with no bugs at all. And also we had an idea of rewriting the whole front end again, not just the design, in fact, because all the logic code is already done. And for the protocol, I would like to implement other feature that I did on my side on a private project for Playground, which is because I use WebSocket. It will allow us to directly for developers, and this is really something that we need. And how to say it, like to have real application in real time, where you have like you create a transaction, you have directly the notification that you created the transaction or that it got accepted, or you receive it, a new transaction, a new block, whatever. And with WebSocket, I will implement also this feature, but maybe not in the first version. I will maybe fix about first the bug in the terminal, and after I will implement it. But for the roadmap, because you ask it, I will create an event system on this XSWD protocol, so any developer can connect to it like with the protocol and request the user to be updated in real time when a new transaction is detected by the wallet, or if a new block is detected, or such things like this. It will be really helpful, I think, for every application that is built on DERO and will be built, because it will be a really huge improvement for real-time application, and to not have to check manually if a new block got mined by the daemon or whatever. Will simplify by, I don't know, I can't say a random factor, but I think at least 2 times more easier to just connect to the WebSocket, subscribe for the event of a new block detection, and the wallet will inform you if it's accepted each time to when a new block is detected, and your application can do whatever. Or same for the balance, if the wallet detects a balance change or whatever. So here is the roadmap. But for the summary, fix the bug in the CLI wallet for the terminal, deploys the DeroDex new version online, and then to have some test feedback to be sure that everything is working. So the liquidity providing, to remove it, to swap, to unswap, blah blah blah, all such case. Sorry. And after to create the new version with the event system.
Awesome. Thank you. That sounds amazing. Like exactly what I was hoping for, actually, much more than I was hoping for. Like I think it's really, for me as a DERO enthusiast, it's really like inspiring to see that developers listen, right, to what users say. It's inspiring to see, and as far as I know, Slicksay is a community dev. Like, nobody's paying him to do this. Like, he does this because he cares about privacy and because he cares about DERO. And as far as he has dedicated his life, like as a developer, to dedicates his free time to DERO. And it's really beautiful how he picked that up, because I was just randomly like sharing some ideas, and he already got down to work, and I heard that he's already working on a new DEX and the video's already out. And now listening to this is really cool, because I think more accessible DEX will be really valuable for DERO, for the DERO economy. because right, it seems like inevitable that most of the liquidity now will flow on chain, and having this will improve accessibility for all sorts of trading, speculative trading, but also for swaps that people need for different things and different stuff. So it's amazing, and I think you cannot when you have such an active developer community, you have these very tight feedback loops that you cannot have them in a centralized system, right? And this is the beauty of DERO, and it's great that we are here already. It's like it has already a very active, impressive, actually, developer community that I haven't seen anywhere else in crypto so far.
And if I may elaborate on that a little bit, Slicks, I just wanted to show my appreciation to you too, to let you know that you are a motivation to the entire community. Not to dox too much, but you're a young mind, and to see you do the depth that you do with this programming, it's awe-inspiring, and it inspired an old head like me to get into coding and actually think that I have a chance, So the fact that you do it as a hobby, in your free time, just says a lot about your character and who you are, and it's amazing to have you as a part of the community. I look to pick your brain a little more when the time comes, and I can actually understand the output, not your language barrier, just the level of tech that you put out is just way over my head. But the day will come.
Sure, with pleasure. I think we'll meet in Los Angeles, so we can speak there outside of my presentation. And if you have any question, feel free, even on Discord. You know where to find me, and you know where to ask, so no problem.
Cool. So I just want to actually, I want to stay put right here for a quick second. So what basically Slicks has, he's conceptualized and built a communication protocol for your desktop wallet to communicate with a decentralized application that's in the browser.
Yeah, but not only desktop wallet, even wallet on mobile, and any wallet, in fact, as long as you implement the protocol, because I made it generic, so it can be really implemented really easily as long as you use the wallet API package from DERO. You can use my protocol everywhere, and that's what G45 is trying to do. He will include it in his own wallet, and that will be a really good proof of concept. Because I expect that he will do a notification system where you will have each time an application try to connect to the wallet, you will have a confirmation by notification to accept it, with a beautiful to a beautiful interface. To have really a user experience really easy and really beautiful things to see, and not just a nerd terminal or whatever. So it will work with everything, and it will be easy to integrate. And because for the protocol, I use exactly the same wallet API from DERO official wallet, it will be really easy to just move from one protocol, so JSON RPC, through HTTP request to WebSocket request, because it's exactly the same. You will just have to to manage the authorization app and the rejection of permission when doing a request. That's all. There is nothing changed. And in future, you will have the ability to just, as said, subscribe to a specific event. So it's much more bigger than just the CLI wallet. CLI wallet just a proof of concept, and it go much more far than
Yes, exactly. And I agree 100%. So from what I've seen, what you've created here, it's nowhere else. Everything I've ever seen needs to either stay. Every decentralized application I've ever seen needs to either stay in the browser because the user is using it with a browser wallet, or it needs to bridge out of the browser. So this protocol that you've created, obviously, I suppose the point is it needs to be supported by the wallet that you're using, which I suppose has an XSWD server inside the wallet. I guess, is that the idea?
Yeah, right. But as said, even if you don't have it, because I use exactly the same format using JSON RPC, you will just have to, on the application side, just switch from, like, for example, the XSWD protocol to the wallet API. Just instead of doing, I think we'll do even a SDK to simplify all this. So, like, it will automatically detect if you have one of the protocol used, and it will switch automatically. So any application can just use it, like G45 did, with his JSON DERO RPC bridge, where you just have to call some function and you give an argument to it. And that's all. I think we'll do the same, and we will support both protocols. So it will really be easy to use it, and you will not have to be scared of the compatibility of both.
Right. Yeah. So this is truly phenomenal. What Slicks is utilizing here is a connection from a wallet that has a server that runs inside of it that has this thing called a WebSocket connection, and because it's a server, it's connected to the internet, which basically means it can connect to the decentralized application from wherever it is. A WebSocket connection is like an open live connection. So it as you hear Slicks kind of explaining how it can listen for real-time events, is because once you've opened this connection, it's real time, it's live. And what Slicks has done with his XSWD protocol is, because it can be a bit janky, a bit unsafe to have just an open live connection to a decentralized application. So I think effectively, if I'm correct in saying this, what Slicks has done is he's put basically a gate on it, a permission system, where it opens up this live connection and you can listen for everything, but the actual functions that you do from the wallet is gated by a permission system where you click yes.
Just this. And you just, in fact, just a layer of permission system with authorization of the connection of the app or not, because it's much more safe than just having the port and the wallet API open to any application. They could do anything without you even know. Like, they could drain all your balance or whatever by less than a second. So you couldn't even cancel it or whatever. So it's just a layer of permission and security then. And it's also solve a problem which the app had. And that's why we need the DERO RPC bridge. It's because with an application like you are on google.com, you can't, if you open the console, the JavaScript console, and you try to do a request to the localhost address, it doesn't work because of the coarse security system. And the XSWD protocol prevent this and allow it because we manage the security ourselves. So now with DERODX.com, for example, you will be able to call the localhost request directly without any problem on any browser, and that's what gets rid of DERO RPC bridge extension.
Yeah, so I just want to reiterate, like, this is, in my opinion, what Slicks is downplaying it a little bit, right? This is huge. What you know, I feel like Slicks just kind of off the cuff kind of created something that the rest of cryptocurrency and all of these hundreds of millions of dollars couldn't do. Is it? Well, yeah, no, I suppose. Well, that's all I want to get across is Slicks is created something that can directly connect your wallet to the decentralized application without a bridge, basically, without an extension that you download from the marketplace in your browser. So the only place I've seen this possible to do is through a trusted third-party company called Trust Wallet, and they host a trusted server that provides the same service that what Slicks is just providing you, but you host yourself. So it kind of pushes into a concept that's kind of bigger than this, which is you have trusted hosts, or you have yourself as a host, which is, I believe, what DERO is kind of looking with the development is. We all kind of have computation when we log in when we go online. We all have a laptop or a computer that we come online with. Well, that means we can host things ourselves. We have to kind of turn everything to ourselves rather than relying third parties to be in between us and what we want. Yeah, I think it's just a really interesting concept and an idea, and you know, just because of a suggestion from a community member, Blick, being in his objective kind of mindset, sort of blocked off from maybe the rest of cryptocurrency, like he doesn't think in the ways that the rest of them do, and he was just able to think of this solution that no one else could think of. It's really unique what you've created, Slicks. I'm really interested in it. I'm interested in what you're doing. I'd actually like to maybe, obviously we're busy with nonsensus, but afterwards, I'd like to see about integrating the AMM contracts, the DERODX contracts that you were talking about, but also the DERO suite contracts, which is the limit order exchange contracts, all under one front end with a token system. That you know, I'm really happy with the progress. I really like where everything's going. I love what you're doing. I also do really appreciate it. Yeah, that's it really. You know, just stay honest. That's where these ideas come from. You know, you've created something that, in my opinion, is really fucking special across the entirety of cryptocurrency. The whole space. I mean that.
To add some clarity to my to the fact that I said I create a new DERODEX. It's not a new DEX directly because I use PSwap.
The front end
smart contract on chain. Yeah, I just built the new front end to make it much more easier, much more easier, and with the integration of the new protocol directly. I do this. I don't change anything from the smart contract. I don't create or copy or whatever because I don't want to divide the liquidity. I want that because we don't have enough liquidity or total value locked yet. So I want that everything stay on the same as the same, and people can just choose and have two versions of the DERODEX. So they have time to migrate from one to another. with any time they need, because both will just run in parallel with no change or without any bugs on one on another, as it's just front-ended. Because it's decentralized app, it's just a call to a smart contract, and we interact with a transaction from the wallet. So it's changed absolutely nothing that a website looks like this or looks like another, or that we use one protocol or another, as long as on the layer 0, so the DERO blockchain, it's we still have the same transaction with the necessary data and all the found and such things. And for the small facts, it's because in my work, for now 2 years, I'm working on SSOs, or single sign-on, and I'm mostly working on implementing protocol and creating interconnection through using famous protocol with other client, partner, and such kind of any kind of company to create our SSO. So I'm a bit used to for the security part and the interconnection between a different application or service. That's how I had some knowledge and mostly ID, in fact, to create this. And again, thanks to TechLeaks, because I saw his message and we discussed in private. I was like, okay, I'm really not alone. So if there is at least one people and another and me, that means there can be a dozen of people again who try to do it but don't want and think like us, in fact. And so we just I have to fix this to really increase the capacity of smart contract and the application. And what's the best than just giving to developers easy tool and offer security way to create a website which can connect directly to your application which is running on the desktop.
Right, yeah. And I just want to quickly go back and clarify. Yeah, so PiSwap is the developer that created the back-end contract, so the actual smart contracts that live on the DERO blockchain. And what Slicks is doing is he's creating new front ends, and these front ends have different, he's creating these front ends to have the compatibility with his XSWD protocol. This is the lovely thing about blockchain, is the smart contracts are the thing that live on chain. They are the things that will never go away. We have certain smart contracts for an AMM swap that have deep liquidity, so there's no point in moving off of those. It would be pointless. So someone like Slicks can come along, create a new front end, and it's, whichever front end would you rather use? It's blockchain. It's fantastic.
Wow, yeah, that's just mind-blowing, amazing. And thank you, Six, for all that you're doing. And also the Objective Alpha, thank you for just the way that you're able to understand and appreciate how massively relevant it is. Just out of curiosity, are you planning to write anything about it? You could add it to your documenting DERO journey here. And if not, or if so, is there any kind of project that you're currently working on that you might want to share with?
Nothing that I could share with you, but yes, I would. I'd love to write about Slicks's XSWD protocol, because it is very unique, and if it is what it is, it's very special. It's very cool, So I would certainly write about it, and I'd be interested in obviously collaborating with Slicks when he is. I imagine this is probably all going to happen after non-census now, because we're just going to be quite busy in the build up, but we'll both probably have more time. And I'd love to collaborate with Slicks and just speak to him, prod him, do some writings on it, because it's interesting. like anything, I like interesting things. I like unique things, which is why I'm at DERO. And, you know, Slick, the man has delivered something which is, again, amazing.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, as we're approaching here the end of our time here, would you guys like to kind of leave with any message?
I'm excited to see the floodgates open with all the stuff that Slicks is working on.
We're reaching tipping point. We are reaching tipping point. Let's keep going. Yeah, we never got into this expecting any kind of return. So just keep going. You are morally and principled and principally correct. What we are doing is right. Let's keep going. Keep pushing. Yeah, you never expected a return. So let's just keep going. This is for something bigger than all of us.
Very beautifully put. Very beautifully put. And really, thank you everyone who has joined this evening. It's been, I couldn't have expected something better than our talks tonight. So thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. And I'm really honored that I got to be a part of it tonight. So thanks a lot.
All right, thanks everyone. I guess we'll see you all next time.
Good night. Bye.
And good luck, guys.
Later.
Bye, Snakes.
Later, everyone.
Bye. Have a good evening. Thank you, sir.